Hi there. So this is the continuation of the previous video on waves in ocean and atmosphere. This is where we had stopped in the previous video where I talked about the phase speed and the group speed. So I hope you understood what I am exactly referring to because this is a very important concept. And we talked about the dispersion and non-dispersion of waves. All right. And if the phase speed is equal to the group speed, then the waves are non-dispersive. If they are not equal, then it is dispersive. And the very important point to note here is that always Cg will determine the direction of propagation of waves. Okay. And also the energy that the wave carries along with it. Okay. So it's always important to look at the direction in which the group velocity is propagating, and you can get the direction of group velocity using mathematics. You solve the equations and you can get the direction of Cg. Okay, that's exactly how we determine how the Rossby wave, Kelvin waves are moving. All right, so in that direction, in that on that note, this is a very important chart because from the equations that we solve, we can make a frequency versus wave number map. I already told you that the two important aspects of a wave are the wave number k and the frequency omega. So you can always have a map, and on this map you can have different types of waves which you can portray. So the direction is westward eastward, right? So once you solve the set of equations, you will see that the Kelvin wave is a non-dispersive wave, which means that the phase speed and the group speed are the same. That's why it has a straight line. It is not a curved line. Okay, and this Kelvin wave will always move eastward. Okay, so it will move from west to east. All right, so that is very important. So MJO will also move from, although it's not a wave per se, but it's a pseudo wave. And if you look at MJO, it is also having a eastward movement. Right? It also moves from east to west. But one thing you have to remember is the Kelvin wave has a very high frequency, whereas MJO has a very low frequency, which exactly we all know because MJO repeats only once in 30 days or so. Like it takes 90 days to cover the entire globe. So it's a very low frequency wave. All right. So is it? I hope it's clear. Kelvin waves are fast moving waves. MJO is not a very fast moving wave. All right. MJO is a pseudo wave again. Right. Now on this map, you can also put equatorial Rossby wave. Equatorial Rossby waves have very low wave number as well as very low frequency. Okay. And these Rossby waves are dispersive because they don't have a straight line. They are kind of curved, right? See, you see these curved lines. These curved lines means these are non-dispersive waves. Sorry, these are dispersive waves. Okay, so equatorial Rossby wave is a dispersive wave. MRG is nothing but mixed Rossby gravity wave. That is also a non-dispersive wave. It is slightly different than equatorial wave, but the only difference is that it has same amplitude, but the frequency is slightly higher. Okay, so the TT is nothing but tropical depressions. Tropical depressions are nothing but these tropical easterly waves that move, right? So that is also moving from east to west, and they have a typical time period of 3 to 6 days. They are very different from Kelvin wave because they are also dispersive. So the typical time duration of these tropical depressions is 3 to 6 days, and they move from east to west. So one thing that we have missed out here is the Rossby wave can also be on this part of the diagram if it is a very high frequency wave. Okay, if this Rossby wave had a similar amplitude but it was very high frequency, then this Rossby wave could move from west to east. It's possible, right? So I'm just telling you that. Okay, but still the Rossby waves will be dispersive. They will not be non-dispersive. Okay, so I hope it's whatever I said here is clear. Okay, which brings us to the next slide where I already told you that Rossby wave is dispersive. Hence, if you look at a typical Rossby wave, if you want to find out on maps whether it's a Rossby wave or a Kelvin wave, you just need to look at the amplitudes, right? The amplitudes, the wavelengths will be longer, the frequency will be shorter, in the sense that they will be long frequency waves, in the sense that they will they will not be repeating frequently in space and time. All right, and the other thing is they will be amplifying because they are dispersive. This is the most important part. If you see such an amplification, it means it's a Rossby wave. If you don't see amplification, see amplitude here is the same as it moves down. If you don't see amplification, then it's a Kelvin wave. This is the easiest way to figure out whether it's a Rossby wave or a Kelvin wave. Kelvin wave is non-dispersive, Rossby wave is dispersive. So amplitudes will keep increasing for a Rossby wave as it moves from east to west or west to east. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. So in ocean you have Kelvin and Rossby. So in the Pacific they interact with each other to form the El Nino. So Kelvin moves from east to eastwards. This is very clear. And Rossby moves westward because this is a very long Rossby wave, long frequency Rossby wave. Okay, so it's a very slow moving Rossby wave. That's why it moves from east to west. This we already saw here. This is the same Rossby I'm talking about here, and this is near the equator, obviously. So these are equatorial waves. Okay, so these two waves, Rossby and Kelvin, in ocean merge together or combine together to give you the El Nino, because the hot water from here will, using the Kelvin wave, it will move to the East Pacific, and cold water will move to the West Pacific. Thereby, you will have El Nino like conditions. Same thing with IOD. So if this west water moves to Sumatra, then you will have negative IOD. Okay, that mainly happens because of the Kelvin wave. Okay, and these waves can be easily, like I said, these waves can be easily observed in the maps. You just look at the ocean currents map, then you will be able to find out whether it's a Kelvin wave or a Rossby wave. A typical Kelvin wave will look like this, right? So no amplitude change, minor changes, but not like Rossby where it will have a very high amplitude. Okay. Timescales of ocean waves, Kelvin, it takes about 2 months to cover. So the reason it's 2 months long in ocean is because oceans are very slow moving and they are very vast. That's why Kelvin wave can survive for a longer time compared to atmosphere. Atmosphere Kelvin waves have much shorter time scales. That is mainly because atmosphere has more energy, so it will let the waves break down quicker. Okay, so you have to understand that. Whereas ocean is a very slow moving body. Okay, so whatever in ocean, it will always be of a higher time scale. So Kelvin is 2 months, it can sustain itself. Given the basin size, in Indian Ocean it will be only 1 month or maybe even 3 weeks, but in Pacific it can be 2 months. Low frequency Rossby waves can sustain themselves for 4 to 6 months in Pacific, 1 to 2 months in Indian Ocean. Okay. So now that is ocean. Now we will come back to atmosphere. Kelvin and Rossby waves are also seen in atmosphere. And if you plot this Hofmolar diagram, which is nothing but a longitude versus time. Okay, so you put time on y-axis and longitude on x-axis. You get something known as a Hofmolar diagram. Hofmolar diagram. So this diagram can be used to find out the waves. So the eastward propagation is a Kelvin wave or a high frequency Rossby wave, and westward propagation will be a long frequency Rossby wave. Right? This is very clear. So again, how you differentiate between Kelvin and Rossby is basically from the fact that the amplitude. You look at whether the amplitude is amplifying or changing, then it's a Rossby wave. This is exactly the point. So same in atmosphere. If it is changing, then it's a Rossby wave. If it's not, it's a Kelvin wave. And you can actually look at Kelvin waves in from maps. This is the atmospheric Kelvin wave. See, amplitudes are not changing much. Whereas here you see the amplitude is changing. This amplitude versus this, it has amplified. So this is a Rossby wave. This is a mid-latitude Rossby wave. This is an equatorial Rossby wave. So equatorial Rossby wave will always kind of give you a twin vortex, one on the northern hemisphere and one on the southern hemisphere. That is a very typical nature of an equatorial Rossby wave. Not always, but most of the time. Okay. You can also look at Rossby and Kelvin waves from this velocity potential at 200 MB chart, okay, which is again a Hofmolar diagram. So this blue is Kelvin, red is Rossby, MJO. All of these are kind of propagating from east to west. Okay, so these are Kelvin waves, and Rossby waves. If it is moving from west to east. So if it is moving from west to east, then it's a high frequency Rossby wave. Correct. So we have to understand that. Then lastly, we have these internal gravity waves, which are very different. These have very small time scales, only 1 to 2 days. Okay. And they form because once the winds interact with the topography, then you have stratification, which results in formation of vortices and turbulence. Okay, and here the energy propagation is not from west to east or east to west, but it's mostly upwards. So they propagate upwards or downwards. So if they propagate upwards, then they result in massive cloud formation, and these are very typical during monsoon season near the windward side of the Ghats. Okay, so that's very important. So this is a very typical example of a Lee wave or a internal gravity wave, where you see this is a wave pattern which is very similar to something I picked up from the internet, right? And these are so you have Western Ghats, which the winds interact with the Western Ghats, and they lead to the formation of these internal gravity waves on the windward side of the mountain. Okay? And this is the reason why during monsoon, Kerala or Mumbai gets a lot of rain because of the internal gravity waves, right? So I hope this was very useful video. I would like to stop here. If you have any comments, please give it to me and subscribe to my channel. And lastly, like I said, there is a lot of mathematics involved. I have tried to avoid those mathematics, but this is a very basic video giving the importance of how waves affect the weather patterns and how to find the waves in charts. All right. So I hope you will find this useful. and please give me your comments so that I can come up with better videos in the future. Thank you so much.